Channel 9.
This is Nightline with Michael Usher.
Good evening. The coalition is still alive, if not very well, with the election only 4 days away. So say the latest news polls, with the coalition trailing Labor by 8 points, 54 to 46% in the two-party preferred, 1 point up from last week. But John Howard has gained 2 points in the better Prime Minister category. 42% believe Howard would make a better Prime Minister to 46% for Kevin Rudd. And for the opposition leader, there was an awkward campaign moment as a teenage girl fainted on the sidelines of a news conference.
Kevin Rudd, star of YouTube and youth radio, has got used to laying school kids in the aisles in this campaign. But not usually like this. 15-year-old Rebecca Sanders suddenly fainted as Mr Rudd addressed the media during a visit to Berwick High School in the marginal outer Melbourne seat of Latrobe. The worried Labor leader knelt beside her, giving her water to help her recover.
She's a bit embarrassed.
When I speak, I often have that effect on people.
John Howard, the underdog in this election, was campaigning in Perth, hoping West Australian voters will save his government by going against the national pro-Labor trend.
I think we are doing well in Western Australia, and there are good prospects of winning seats in Western Australia.
But back east, an assault from his own side. Former New South Wales Liberal leader Peter Debnam, now energy spokesman, was attacking the Prime Minister's refusal to ratify the Kyoto Protocol on climate change.
I wish we had ratified Kyoto long ago, and then we could have led the world with bold initiatives in clean energy.
No, I don't agree with him.
Are there more and more Liberals who believe that? Do you find many?
No, I don't.
Is that an embarrassment to you?
No, it's not.
Peter Debnam has said what reasonable, plain-speaking people across our nation are saying. They want Australia to be part of the global climate change solution.
Mr Rudd says if he wins the election on Saturday, he'll ratify Kyoto immediately, then personally attend next month's International Climate Change Conference in Bali. And there's more bad news for Mr Howard, another minister in danger of defeat. A McNair opinion poll shows Workplace Relations Minister Joe Hockey running neck and neck with Labor candidate and former TV weatherman Mike Bailey in the seat of North Sydney, each with 50% of the vote after preferences. Mr Hockey joins Mr Howard in Bennelong and Environment Minister Malcolm Turnbull in Wentworth on the election endangered species list. Laurie Oakes for Nightline.
Mines often kill people, but this morning, good luck and a professional rescue team helped save the lives of 27 men trapped in a mine collapse at Ballarat. Questions have now been raised about safety measures at the site.
A simple, triumphant thumbs up from the first of the miners plucked to safety. There was no fanfare though. They were all loaded into four-wheel drives and taken for medical checks.
Guys, how are you feeling? Bloody good, mate.
5 at a time, the miners came to the surface. For nervous loved ones watching on, it had been the longest morning of their lives.
How did you feel when you heard the news this morning?
Oh, sick. Like I want to throw up.
Normal duties were being conducted at around 4 a.m. when a section of the mine collapsed. They found sanctuary in a safety chamber where one made an emergency call for help. Rescuers knew that time was of the essence because there was only enough oxygen for the miners to survive 30 hours underground. Amazingly though, it was only 4 hours before everyone was brought to safety. Les Clayton says those trapped underground tried to distract themselves from the life-threatening situation.
People were upstairs obviously doing something to get us out. So the mine was that, hey, we get down there and we talk, you know, pardon the language, we talk about sex, we talk about everything.
The union claims safety at the site is in question. Today's collapse following another incident in June. But Les insists he has no such concerns and his co-workers are planning on relaxing while the investigation takes place.
I hope they're doing what I hope to do this afternoon and throw a bourbon down the back of my throat.
In Ballarat, Tom Steinfort for Nightline.
Emergency crews in Victoria say they found no survivors in the wreckage of a light plane located late today at Cape Liptrap, west of Wilson's Promontory. The twin-engine Cessna disappeared on Saturday on a flight from Melbourne to the New South Wales south coast. On board were telecommunications executive Jeffrey Milne, his wife, son and the boy's girlfriend. The Australian Maritime Safety Authority, which had been coordinating the search, says the plane appears to have hit the water at high speed, giving the group virtually no chance of survival. Sacked Eagles star Ben Cousins has been suspended from the AFL for 12 months for bringing the game into disrepute. After the 7-hour hearing, the 29-year-old admitted he was a drug addict and apologised for his behaviour.
The former Eagles captain, a 4-time club champion, a Brownlow medalist, one of WA's most decorated players, was sacked by the Eagles last month after a series of off-field controversies. Now he's banned from playing football for a year.
I'd like to say it was a sad day today. It was a day when the AFL Commission was called upon to exercise its responsibility to our players, our supporters, our clubs and the general public.
With his parents Brian and Stephanie, manager Ricky Nixon and legal representative David Grace beside him, Ben Cousins then spoke of his remorse.
I am overcoming drug addiction, which is an ongoing process. Contrary to media reports, I am a lot further down the track in my rehabilitation than which has been reported. I would like to apologise to the AFL, its players and supporters for the embarrassment that my conduct has brought to the game.
The Commission made it clear the former Eagles star could return to AFL football in 2009 by nominating for the draft late next year. But he will be subject to strict medical assessment. Michael Thompson reporting for Nightline.
Nicole Kidman found herself trapped in the hurly-burly of media attention today when she appeared as the chief defence witness in a defamation case brought against Fairfax newspapers in Sydney. At its heart is the paparazzi's pursuit of celebrities.
There was no escaping a Hollywood entrance. The actress was mobbed by the paparazzi when she appeared to testify in a case involving one of their own. Celebrity snapper Jamie Fawcett is suing the Sun Herald newspaper over an article more than 2 years ago which suggested he was a cowboy and Sydney's most disliked freelance photographer. At the time, Kidman had accused him of stalking her and bugging her house, though charges were later dropped.
The actress's lawyers had tried to excuse her from attending court, saying Kidman was too busy working on Baz Luhrmann's new film. But ordered by the judge to appear today, she seemed calm and composed as she recounted her many run-ins with Jamie Fawcett,
including being chased by Fawcett and another photographer on the way to her parents' house. They were driving crazy and they had run red lights and jumped the median strip. She later told police, "I was absolutely terrified and was thinking, I hope I don't die like this." After a court appearance lasting barely an hour, it was time to brave the media pack again. Court security had to clear a path for the actress as she was herded towards a waiting car. The case will continue tomorrow. Brad Schmidt reporting for Nightline.
An 11-year-old boy and 6 teenagers have been charged over the weekend bashing and robbery of an off-duty police officer and his girlfriend on the Gold Coast. The 11-year-old is accused of robbery with violence and assault occasioning bodily harm.
It's exceptionally disturbing, but again, I think we need to be mindful that these are allegations at this stage and the matter will proceed through the court process.
5 of the accused teenagers are due to appear in Tweed Heads Court for extradition. In Bangladesh, it sadly seems death tolls only ever seem to go up. As hungry and injured cyclone survivors line up for food and clothing, there are growing fears the fatal tally could go way beyond the early estimate of around 2,300. Aid agencies now believe that as rescue crews reach outlying islands, it might skyrocket to more than 10,000. In Japan, a defiant Japanese whaling fleet set sail for the Southern Ocean amid much celebration. Emblazoned with the word research, the mothership, Nishin Maru, has orders to kill more than 1,000 whales, including 50 humpbacks. Australia has made a formal protest to Japan. Australia has a bit of work ahead of them if they're to pull off a clean sweep of the Test series after the Sri Lankan batsmen rallied on day 4. Chasing an improbable 507 to win, the visitors are 3 for 247 at stumps. Kumar Sangakkara will resume at the crease, unbeaten on 109.
Jake's had his sights set on a 3rd straight Test 100. But the team needed quick runs and that took precedence over personal ambition.
Good catch.
A Ponting edge went undetected by everyone but Snicko.
Good on you, Snicko.
The skipper went on to make a half-century, Hussey also chipping in before the declaration came. Sri Lanka set 507 to win.
Hasn't he got good at that?
Survival, the only thing on the tourists' mind, Van Dort didn't help the cause.
Well bowled, Mitchell Johnson.
It took two of Sri Lanka's most experienced batsmen to keep the Aussies at bay. Gill offered up a gift which was gladly accepted as Sangakkara and Atapattu settled in. Both reaching their half-centuries in the second session, which was negotiated without the loss of a wicket.
He's going to make it very difficult for the Muppets to drop him.
After tea, a loose shot, and Jakes didn't drop him either.
Lee has done it. What a spell of bowling.
There was nothing loose about the next ball from Lee.
Clean bowled him. Brilliantly bowled.
Jaya Surya survived the hat-trick but was riding his luck, caught off a Stuart McGill no ball. But Sangakkara's knock was close to faultless.
McGill's head. Will it go? Yes, it will. That'll do it.
The century, his first against Australia. Chris Hodgkinson for Nightline.
Australia's world champion netballers have been celebrating with fans in Melbourne. The party, though, is over for record-breaking captain Liz Ellis, who's decided to go out on top.
Liz Ellis was clutching the World Championship trophy tightly, but there was something else she had to get off her chest, announcing her retirement from netball.
I wanted the fairy tale and I got it, so that was good enough for me.
It was tough for some of her teammates to take in. After 122 games, Australia's most capped player decided it was time to listen to her body.
I'm 34. Things are starting to fall apart. When I get up in the morning, I have to hobble around and it takes me a while to get going.
Saturday's triumph was Ellis's third world title and Australia's ninth. The outgoing captain couldn't have planned her retirement better, but after 14 years of international netball, it's hard to work out what to do next.
The only thing I can say with any certainty is that I'm going to get my golf handicap down. It's currently 36 and needs improvement.
Bence Hammerley for Nightline.
And coming up on Nightline, finance and tomorrow's weather. Now to Nightline's finance news, and the Australian market was slightly higher. The ASX 200 up 73.3 to 6,535.2. And as usual, Tom Petrosky from CommSec joins us. Tom, good evening. The market was lifted by the big miners and major banks.
Very much so, Michael. Having fallen by about 6% since the beginning of the month, buyers were pretty happy to step in and buy some cheapened stocks today. They made a beeline for the miners. There's a whiff in the air that BHP may make a tilt at Rio Tinto this week, and that had Rio shares up by about 3.7%, BHP shares up by about 1%, the ANZ, St George and the NAB up by more than 1% on the banking front.
And Wall Street, Tom, what are you seeing there tonight?
Not so much tonight, Michael. We're just seeing a little bit of weakness in the early part of the session. It's more about what's going to happen for the remainder of the week. We get the minutes from the last Federal Open Market Committee meeting, the one where interest rates were decided upon. Market's very keen to get a sense of the near-term direction for interest rates. Also, crucial figures on housing starts, which have really cast a pall over the markets for the last month. So the market's looking for some more optimistic news on that front this week.
And the latest there, Tom, on the Aussie dollar, gold and oil, please?
The Aussie dollar has been in steady decline since early afternoon locally, trading at around 89 US cents at the minute. Gold at $786.20 US per ounce, not doing anything spectacular. Oil a little bit firmer at $94.60, which is up by about 70 cents.
Great, Tom. Thank you.
Thanks, Michael.
Let's have a look at the national weather for tomorrow. And Darwin can expect late storms, mostly fine in Brisbane and 27, sunny in Sydney, late storms for Canberra, 36, and chance of a shower in Melbourne, a few splashes also for Hobart, thunderstorms forecast in Adelaide and sunny in Perth, 24 degrees there. That's Nightline tonight. I'm Michael Usher. Thanks for your company. We'll see you tomorrow. Good night.
Guys, how you feeling?